Yeah, and I think, when we talk about a shock factor as it relates to coachable minds, you know, sometimes everybody needs that hero, needs that person who's going to say things that we're not going to like. And it isn't because they dislike us or they want to ruin our weekend, yet they see things in us because we have such deep rooted blind spots. And I think, when you shock somebody, you're telling them something that they already know. And I'll give you an example. We had somebody at a company that was really struggling and very talented, self-conscious, didn't have a college degree, was a manufacturing scheduling planner, pretty elaborate job, high skill set, valuable skill set. And he did not see himself as valuable, yet was frustrated that upper level management wouldn't talk to him. They didn't take his ideas. And in defense of him, I said, okay, let's assume you're right. What are you going to do to change that? And he kept going back to how he felt. I said, look, I don't care how you feel. As a friend, I care. In this conversation, I'm asking, what are you going to do to change that? 7 questions later, he still could not answer because he hadn't given it thought. So I planted the seed. I came back and I said, look, I've thought a lot about our conversation. I want you to think about leaving the company. And his jaw drops. And I said, I really want you to think about leaving the company. And how are you going to successfully prepare yourself? How are you going to go into that interview and wow somebody? Because the minute you put your career in the palm of someone else's hands, according to you, an organization or at least leaders above you who don't listen to you, you're actually creating your own self-fulfilling prophecy of frustration. So wake up, do something about it, or quit complaining about it. 2.5 years later, he recently just called me and thanked me. And he said, did you hear what happened to the old company? And I said, well, I've heard some rumblings. He said, they just filed bankruptcy. He said, I'm on my second promotion. He lost like 70, 80 pounds. Now, in the moment, he didn't like the way I sounded. He didn't like what I was saying. And certainly my depiction probably comes off a little bit rougher than what it really was. Yet I kept holding up that mirror. I knew the stakes were high. So sometimes when we shock people, we're also telling them things they already know. And I often crack the joke when I do public speaking. You want to know the truth? Someone with a negative attitude, they know they have a negative attitude. The problem with people with negative attitudes is we don't walk towards them, we walk away from them. So they have more latitude in their minds to continue to behave that way. The shock value is basically waking people up. It's disrupting them. It's basically getting them off their path of continually walking the path they're comfortable with. Yes, discomfort is really, really, really powerful. Most people don't seek it. Most people don't knock on the door and say, Blake, you got anything uncomfortable for me? I really feel too comfortable. Yet most employees will get lulled into that. So that shock value is asking questions, giving them a perspective, shocking them into, you're kind of full of it. You can sit in the same place and be full of it. But don't tell me sitting in the same place, breeding complacency, people are not going to run past you. That's on you. And doing that sometimes can be tough. Yet at the same time, I don't do it unless I know the person knows it deep down. I won't bring up something that is sensitive, nor should a leader bring up something sensitive that they're unaware of, because that lack of awareness can also feel like salt in an open wound. You want to be sensitive when you approach people. You want to be thoughtful. You always want to have that whiff, what's in it for them. And so you want to tie those things together. Yet the shock value is really to get people to wake up and to get people to really think about, okay, you're complaining, you're sitting in the middle of the pool, you're treading water, you're not swimming to one end or the other, yet you're kind of complaining that the water's too cold. I've been in here too long. Yet you're not changing your stroke. You're not finding a different way to swim those waters. And that's where that shock value can serve a really valuable purpose.